Time for the hot topic of the hour. Biden's officials are now headed to Michigan today to meet with Arab and Muslim leaders. They're hoping to end the growing anger over the war in the Middle East. The move coming ahead of Michigan's presidential primary in just a few weeks, where more than 145,000 Arab and Muslim votes are now at stake in Michigan. The president was way too busy to make the visit to Michigan himself. He's on a three-stop fundraising tour in New York City yesterday, where he called former President Donald Trump, quote, an existential threat. Meanwhile, the former president's Colorado ballot case is headed to the Supreme Court today. We'll get the news later over his eligibility to serve a second term. Trump will be on the ballot in Nevada's GOP caucuses today, where he is expected to win all of the state's delegates. That's 26 delegates in Nevada. Tiana, your reaction.
An existential threat to security along the southern border, to the integrity of the U.S. dollar and the American economy, to foreign policy and peace abroad. No, it's funny of Joe Biden to say
he's an existential threat to Joe Biden's reelection.
Yes. Yep.
Let's be clear.
In all fairness, a sack of potatoes with an R on it right now at this point would be an existential threat to Joe Biden's reelection odds. He's performing so poorly. Look, Joe Biden's margin of victory in Michigan was wider than the entire Arab American population. So it's telling that his advisors think that the only way for him to win is to shore up. What? Is he just assuming that this is the pro-Hamas vote? I would like to believe that Michigan voters, including Michigan Arab American voters, like everyone else, are prioritizing the 18% increase in prices under Joe Biden, the instability abroad, the invasion at the southern border, not siding with Hamas. But that's the calculus that Biden and his team are making, that it's more important to get these far left-wing pro-Hamas radicals than it is to focus on the well-being of the country.
Yeah, and you know, he hasn't discussed Michigan at all, but now we know that the Michigan primary is coming up. So it's like, oh, get all those people over there, get my officials over there to try to get the Arab vote.
Yeah, and he sends his advisors over there. And as he's going after, you know, these far left extremists, he risks alienating Jewish voters who vote predominantly Democrat, typically, right? And there's nothing new here with regards to President Biden blaming all of his failures on President Trump. I mean, we've seen this over and over and over again. I mean, he just recently said the only reason the border is open is Donald Trump and his MAGA Republicans.
Can you imagine?
I mean, that's his go-to every single time he fails. And we all know exactly what's going on. We know the Republicans put forth H.R. 2, which was a very common sense plan. So it's not Donald Trump, President Biden. Look in the mirror.
I spoke to somebody last night, actually, and he was kind enough to tell me that he watches us every morning. And he said to me, Maria, did you see the other day when President Biden said that the border is open and it's Trump's fault? He said, does he think we're morons? I said, I know. I
think he does.
It's amazing because he walked into the Oval Office on day one and overturned all of Trump's security at the border. And Todd, then there's this. Former Obama senior advisor David Axelrod slamming the efforts by several states to keep former President Trump off the ballot in 2024. Watch this.
I'm trying to imagine what it would be like if the Supreme Court said, we're removing the front-running Republican candidate from the ballot and essentially saying to the American people, you won't have the opportunity to vote for him. And I think it would be very, very disruptive in this country. I think it will create a huge reaction, and that worries me.
Disruptive? How about unconstitutional? That's another word for it, Todd. How do you see it?
All great words. Let's go even further. They love to talk about the end of democracy. Removing Donald Trump from the ballot literally is the first step in the end of democracy. Not a bad day, i.e. January 6th. But a real situation where Donald Trump was voted in the Republican primary by the Republican voters that they want him as their candidate. To remove him, first of all, it's not going to happen. The Supreme Court, regardless of what you think of them right now as an institution, they cannot let this happen. They cannot let the Colorado. I mean, granted, we could all be wrong, but they can't do it. This would be the end of democracy.
Yeah.